Welcome back, everybody, to the MyZone training seminar. I'm your instructor today, Yaya Alomar, and let's get to it. So, quick review of the agenda is what is MyZone? Why do we want to use MyZone in our physical education classrooms? Today's component, or this current component, which is what do the colors mean? What do they teach? And why is it important? Later on in our training, we're going to go over setting up challenges, and then we're going to have some demonstrations and practices, and we're going to physically use the belts ourselves so we get comfortable and we know exactly what the students are going to be going through. But without further ado, let's get into our current portion. Quick overview, however. The MyZone heart rate monitor is a wearable technology that's used to measure the individual's heart rate along with the effort being given during any given physical activity or exercise. Okay. Why I think we should be using MyZone is their mission aligns with us in creating an environment that's engaging and motivating for participants to be active. In our case, our students. Okay. And this is going to be done by gamifying physical activity, or in our case, PE, through challenges, building leaderboards, and earning effort points, also known as MEPs. Now, before we move forward, there's some terminology that I want to go over with that I'll be using throughout the presentation. So that way we're all on the same page and we all know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. So the first one that comes to mind is MyZone effort points. So this is a measurement of the effort that a student is putting in. And this is what's going to be used down the line when we create challenges, reading a leaderboard. And it's going to tie into what we're talking about today in terms of the colors and the tiles. Then there's effort, which is how hard the physical activity was compared to the estimated max heart rate. This is what the students are giving during that physical activity. And then we have max heart rate, which is the amount of times, the most amount of times the heart could beat during a physical activity within a minute. Average heart rate is the average beats per minute during that activity. Peak heart rate is the highest your heart rate has reached during that activity. And lastly is percentage of max heart rate, which is how close to the max heart rate during an activity that individual has reached. It also determines the zones of and how we earn our effort points. Okay. So first thing you want to do is download that app, which you guys should have already done. If not, you can find it on the Apple or Android store. It's going to look like this on the screen. Go ahead, create an account. That's where you're going to put in your info, name, date of birth, age, username, password, nickname you'll use on the screen or throughout the app. Once you're done finishing your account, go ahead and log in. And once we complete that portion, you're going to see this home screen right over here. On this home screen, there's a few bits of information that you're going to see. One is previous exercises or activities that you've done. So students will have a record, as well as us as teachers will be able to see this as well, of previous activities they've done and participated in and what it's looked like. You'll also see how many points they've earned in our current section or the month, as well as how many they've earned over the course of having the belt. From this screen, you're going to go ahead and click down here on this red tile, and that's going to open up the screen to your right. So while the student's wearing that heart rate monitor, they're going to see a tile that looks like this. It's going to be nice and colorful. It's going to give out information like percentage of heart rate max, their current heart rate, the MEPs that they're currently earning, the calories they're burning, and then how long they've been engaged in that physical activity. Okay, so they're going to be moving around. You and the students as well are going to see different colors pop up. Now, what do these colors mean? And what does it look like in our classrooms? In our classrooms, if we see a student in a light gray with a light gray square, they're probably sitting around waiting for roll call, talking to their friends, waiting for the day to get started. This is their resting heart rate, and this zone you're going to see oftentimes while the students are waiting to go to their next class, or they're waiting for you to come out, take roll, get the day started. Next, we have the gray zone. So students are probably walking around. Maybe they're just starting walking to the activity that they're supposed to be doing for the day, want to talk to their friends. This is very low intensity. Students can be into the zone as much as possible. This is also an indicator for you as the teacher that maybe they're not exactly participating, and you can quickly catch them and see where they're at. Then we have the blue zone. So this is where your students are warming up, trying to get their body warm. Maybe they're on a light jog, warm-up stretches. You'll know students are participating if you see their numbers within this zone. They're moving, they're breaking a little bit of a sweat, and they're slowly getting engaged. Then we have the green zone. This is for your constant activities. Let's say they have the mile for the day. They're running their mile. You should see them somewhere in that zone. They're not exerting themselves too much, but they are pushing themselves to a certain degree, certain limit, and they're getting something out of the activity that they're doing. They could either compare it to stuff outside the class, like a long bike ride or a constant physical activity. Students will see themselves reach the yellow zone if during points of activity where extra effort has to be given. For example, if the students are in their soccer unit or basketball unit and they're running down the field or court to score or to make a stop, they're gonna see as well as you is their heart rates jump to that zone. So students can see, wow, if I reach this certain zone, I'm gonna be in yellow. This is how much effort I have to put in, and then I'll be in that zone specifically. Lastly, we have the red zone. So this students are giving max effort. These are very short stints in this zone. This is if they're doing interval training, working their large muscle groups, really putting in a ton of effort for the physical activity that they're doing. Okay. Now, why do we care about the colors? Well, depending on the color that they're in, that's how many points or effort points they're going to be earning. Now, we could use those points for uh, what we're going to discuss later, which is challenges, building up a leaderboard, or for us as teachers, we can use it as a way of measuring participation. So if they're in the light gray, they're sitting around not showing any effort, they're not going to earn any points. Regular gray, they're walking around, so they'll earn 1 point for every minute they're in that zone. Blue during the warm-ups or they're starting to give a little more effort, 2 points. Green is 3. So these are the kids who are constantly in their activity, constant rate of exercise. They are engaged. Yellow and red, they'll see that I have to reach, or they're really going for it. This is the tougher zones to reach and sustain. So the app will reward them with 4 effort points for each minute they're in this zone. This is a really cool tool visually for the students because they get to realize how much effort or what toll they're putting on their body looks like in terms of um, what it takes to reach each of these zones. So oftentimes you'll see students or um, they'll say, teacher, coach, I'm putting in as much effort as possible. Well, now they can see, are they, or do they have enough in the tank to push themselves even more? As a teacher, you're looking at these numbers. Kids are supposed to be in the blue zone for this activity. You see a couple of them are not. They're slacking. Maybe they're in the gray. Now, because of the names and you being able to see where they are being physically active, you can walk up to them and go, hey, I know you could push up higher, or I know you're not participating. So let's get into this zone. This way we can coach them and motivate them to really put in the effort and really challenge themselves and be fully engaged in the lesson that we are trying to share or teach with them for that day. Okay? Uh, if there's any questions, comments, or concerns regarding what we just discussed, feel free to ask me right now. The rest of us, we could take a 5 to 10 minute break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and go over how to build challenges and how to incorporate the MEPS into that, and then how that specific aspect will keep the kids engaged as well.